The moment you feel they're testing you and you open your mouth to start explaining yourself, you've already failed the test. Wait a second. Visualize it. The test is coming. You relate to work in the morning and your manager is staring at you. At dinner, your partner says, "You're always like this." In a group chat, a friend indirectly implies something about you. A heat rises in your chest. Cortisol spikes. Your brain screams, "I'm being misunderstood. The truth is being distorted. I need to correct this right now." And you speak, you explain, you offer justifications, you add context, and in that exact moment, you've extended your throat to them. Now I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. What happened after that explanation? Did your manager's gaze soften? Did your partner say, "You're right, I was wrong"? Did your friend apologize? Write it in the comments. Almost never. Because the world doesn't judge you by the accuracy of your words. It judges you by the desperation in your voice. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want to answer it honestly. After that explanation, did the person across from you say, "You're right, I was wrong"? Almost never. Because the world doesn't judge you by the accuracy of your words. It judges you by the desperation in your voice. The one who explains submits. The one who defends accepts the other person's authority to judge them. Cleckley, while examining the dark architecture of power dynamics, saw a truth that modern society is trying to strip away from you. Power is not about being right. It's about who holds the frame. And the moment you defend yourself, you step into their frame. You sit in the defendant's chair in their courtroom. But what if you didn't sit? What if, when the attack came, you did the one thing that frightens a manipulator more than anything else? Most people spend their lives as emotional puppets, pulled by the strings of other people's opinions. Their manager frowns, they apologize. Their partner accuses, they explain. A friend makes a subtle remark. They go on the defensive. They live in a constant state of reactive defense, trying to prove that they are good, intelligent, or worthy. This is a miserable way to exist, a slow suffocation of the soul. But there is another way. A way to move through the world so detached, so sovereign, so psychologically impenetrable that insults don't just bounce off you, they dissolve before they even reach you. This is not about being cold. It's not about being arrogant. It's about a fundamental shift in where you derive your reality from. Today we're going to put the psychology of the test on the table. We'll look at why biology exposes you in these moments and how to override it with a strategy Cleckley would have whispered to a prince. I'm going to show you how to instantly reverse the power dynamic. I'm going to show you how to make the attacker doubt their own mind. I'm going to show you how to use silence not as the absence of noise, but as a weapon of mass destruction against someone's ego. But I warn you, this requires killing a part of you that you've been feeding since childhood, the part that begs to be understood, the part that needs permission. If you can kill that need, you become dangerous. You become untouchable. Let's begin. Why do you do it? Why is your first instinct, when someone questions you, to present evidence of your innocence? Now I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. In the last week, how many times did you read a message 5 times before sending it? How many times did you swallow what you wanted to say in a meeting because you weren't sure how it would be received? How many times did you come home in the evening and replay that conversation in your head thinking, "I wish I had said it differently"? These numbers tell you something. They tell you how much of your energy you spend managing other people's perceptions. It starts in childhood. Go back to when you were 5 and a parent or teacher accused you of something. You broke the vase, but it fell by accident. You hit your friend, but he hit first. What was the only way to escape punishment? Explanation. I didn't do it. This is what happened. Actually, it was like this. You learned that authority figures held the power of judgment, and you learned that survival depended on convincing that authority figure that you were good. The problem is, you grew up, but your soul didn't. You walk through the world projecting that authority figure onto everyone you meet. Your boss, your partner, strangers on the internet, even your enemies. When you defend yourself to someone, you are unconsciously saying, "You are the judge, I am the child. Please accept my objection so I can feel safe again. This smells like weakness." And we humans, no matter how advanced an age we live in, can detect the scent of this submission from a mile away. Hervey Cleckley saw this. Being feared is far safer than being liked. Translate this to modern social dynamics. Being respected is far safer than being understood. When you rush to defend yourself, you're prioritizing being understood over being respected. You're saying, "Understand me, see my intentions." But a king does not explain his decisions to a peasant. A lion does not negotiate his prey with a deer. The moment you start offering justifications, showing messages, bringing up past events to prove you're right, you have signaled that your inner stability depends on their approval. You have given them the key to your house, and once they have that key in their hands, they can destroy the house whenever they want. This is the trap of the validating self. You believe that if you explain it clearly enough, they will say, "Ah, now I see. You're right. I was wrong." How often does this actually happen? Be honest with yourself right now. When you were late to your partner, you spent 10 minutes explaining the traffic, the meeting, the phone. Did you receive acceptance? You explained to your manager why the project delay wasn't your fault. Did their eyes soften? You explained to your friend why you said those words with full context. Did the relationship improve? Almost never. Because the attack was never about the facts. It was about power. They didn't accuse you because they wanted the truth. They accused you because they wanted to see if you would jump. And you jumped. The first step to becoming untouchable is realizing the courtroom doesn't exist. There is no judge. There is no jury. There is only you and your perception of reality. When you stop treating people like judges, accusations stop feeling like sentences. They start feeling like opinions. And opinions are just noise. So what happens when you don't jump? Imagine the scenario. Your coworker says in a meeting, "You're managing this project terribly. You've messed everything up." The old you would say, "No, I'm not. The data came in late. Team coordination was difficult. I did more than my best defensive, weak, reactive." Now imagine the Cleckley approach. "You're managing this project terribly," they say. You look at them. You maintain eye contact. You don't blink. You keep your face completely neutral. You let the silence hang in the air. 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Do you know what happens in that silence? A psychological vacuum forms. The human brain is deeply afraid of silence during conflict. It signals a rupture in the social fabric. It signals that you are not playing their game. When you stay silent, you reflect their energy back at them. You force them to sit in the tension they created, and they usually start to collapse. They speak again to fill the void. Well, not everything, of course. Just this last delivery, actually, things have generally been going fine. They start going on the defensive against their own silence. The power has reversed. This is the gray rock method weaponized. You become a void. A void cannot be attacked. You can't punch fog. You can't cut water. By refusing to provide the resistance of defense, you let their attacks pass through you and leave them off balance. This requires immense inner control because the ego inside is screaming, "Respond. Explain yourself. Say something clever. You have to put that dog on a leash." Cleckley knew this. The most powerful person in the room is the one who cannot be read. When you defend, you reveal your values. You reveal what hurts you. You reveal your buttons. You shout, "I'm not stupid," now they know your insecurity is intelligence. You say, "I'm not a bad person," now they know your insecurity is moral standing. Silence reveals nothing. It's a dark mirror. And when they look into it, they only see their own aggression reflected back, and that disturbs them. It makes them feel judged, which is ironic, because you haven't said a single word. Sometimes silence isn't enough. Sometimes the situation requires words, but never defensive words. If you must speak, you never push back against force. You pull. You use the aikido of conversation. In dark psychology, there's a concept called agree and amplify. It creates a state of cognitive dissonance in the attacker. If someone accuses you of something absurd, defending yourself validates the absurdity. It implies the accusation is serious enough to deserve a response. Instead, you lean into it. You exaggerate it until it becomes a caricature. Attacker: you're so obsessed with money, you're truly greedy. Defensive you: no, I'm not. I just want to support my family. There are bills. It's a tough time, boring, predictable, weak. You with the Cleckley approach: you caught me. Actually, every Tuesday I swim in a vault of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck. It's terrible for my back. You say this with a straight face or a mildly amused smirk. What did you just do? You refuse to be insulted. You proved you're not insecure about the topic. You turned their serious attack into a joke. You established yourself as the one framing reality. This disarms the attacker. They wanted to hurt you. Instead, you took their knife and used it to peel an apple. One more. Your boss says in a meeting, "You're not ready to manage this." Defensive you: "I am ready. Look at this project. Look at these results. I've been here 2 years. You've lost." Cleckley approach: maybe you're right. Is this exactly what someone who isn't ready looks like, in your view? And you wait quietly. The spotlight has turned. Now they have to answer. This signals amused mastery. Amused mastery is the ultimate expression of high status. It's the posture of a parent watching a child throw a tantrum. You don't get angry at the child. You don't argue with the child. You're entertained by the drama because you know you're safe. When you defend yourself, you get down on the floor and scream alongside the child. Don't do that. Stand up, look down, smile. Law 25 of the 48 Laws of Power says, recreate yourself. Part of that is refusing the identity others try to impose on you. When they label you, they're trying to put you in a box. If you fight the box, you're still engaging with the box. If you mock the box, you dissolve it. You're so arrogant. You. I prefer the term captivating self-assurance, but okay. You only care about yourself. You, I'm working on it. I'll add you to the list of people I care about next year. This is savage, this is dismissive, and it is incredibly attractive. Why? Because it shows you are whole. You don't need their approval to know who you are. Someone who knows they are generous laughs when called stingy. Someone who knows they are intelligent laughs when called stupid. If you're defending, it's because deep inside you fear they might be right. And that is the shadow work you need to do. Now let's go even deeper. Because everything I've told you up to this point is technical. But beneath the technique, there is a much darker, much more deeply rooted truth. And without seeing that truth, none of these techniques will last. They'll remain superficial. And everything superficial eventually collapses. Ask yourself this. In the last week, how many times did you do something to find out what someone thought of you? How many times did you read a message 10 times before sending it? How many times did you not say what you wanted to say in a meeting because you weren't sure how it would land? How many times after posting something on social media did you think about how many people would like it? How many times did you replay a conversation from the day before on your way to work in the morning, saying, "I wish I had said it differently"? These numbers tell you how much of your energy you're spending externally, managing other people's perceptions. And every time that energy is spent, something diminishes inside you. Every search for approval drains you a little more, because approval comes from outside, and everything that comes from outside can also be taken away. Someone who approves of you today can reject you tomorrow. The manager who said, "Great job yesterday," is praising someone else in front of you today. The partner who said, "You're different yesterday," is accusing you of always being like this today. And when you hear that rejection, you fall into the crack inside you that was already waiting there. That crack opened in childhood, and since that day, you've been using the wrong material to close it. You cannot close that crack with other people's approval, because approval is temporary, the crack is permanent. The only permanent filler is self-knowledge, knowing your own darkness, looking your own weaknesses in the face, and making peace with them. Cleckley spent years studying the most dangerous human profiles and saw this. What separated these people from ordinary people was not power or intelligence. It was being completely independent of external approval. There is something to be learned from their pathology, not the pathology, the independence, because not needing external approval is not a disease. The disease is carrying that need without ever questioning it. And most people never question that need. They carry it their whole lives, like a heavy suitcase. They take it everywhere. They drag it into every relationship. They bring it to every meeting, every dinner, every social setting, and that suitcase exhausts them so much that there is no self left that truly knows who they are. And this is precisely the moment people find it easiest to test you. An exhausted person gives inconsistent responses. Inconsistent responses signal insecurity. A person signaling insecurity becomes easy prey. This is not a weakness, it is a cycle. And becoming aware of the cycle means breaking the cycle. Let's go deeper into the philosophy of interaction. Every conversation has a metastructure, a hidden architecture. In a conflict, there is usually a judge and a defendant. The judge asks questions. Why did you do this? What were you thinking? Who do you think you are? The defendant answers, because I was thinking this. Actually, it happened like this. I just wanted that. Whoever is asking the questions is the one holding the power. Whoever is answering is losing status. The most lethal Cleckley trick is simply refusing the role of defendant and seizing the role of judge. You do this by answering a question with a question, or by analyzing their behavior instead of your own. Them. Why are you always so late? Defensive you. There was traffic and my alarm didn't go off and the meeting ran long. You're losing. Cleckley you. Why does my arrival time affect your mood so deeply? Do you see this? Suddenly we're not talking about the time. We're talking about their emotional stability. We're talking about their reaction. You've put the spotlight back on them. You're being ridiculous. Cleckley you. What does it feel like for you to need to use labels like that to get your point across? You are psychoanalyzing them in real time. This drives a manipulator crazy. They want to keep you on the defensive. Instead, you're circling around them, observing them like a specimen in a jar. It's interesting that you perceive it that way. Does saying that make you feel better? You seem very invested in this topic. These sentences are a shield. They acknowledge the sound coming out of the other person's mouth, but do not accept the content. This is a boundary, a verbal force field. You are saying, this is yours, not mine. Keep it. This is not just a technique, it is a spiritual stance. The realization that other people's perceptions of you are none of your business. Their anger is their problem. Their disappointment is their responsibility to manage. When you defend yourself, You're trying to carry their emotional baggage for them. You're trying to fix their feelings. Let go. Let them carry their own weight. Now for the paradox. Sometimes the most aggressive, most power-reversing move you can make is to agree, but not in the way you think. This is not the agreement of submission. It is the agreement of the abyss. Your partner is screaming at you. You never listen. You're always like this. It's only ever about you in this relationship, old you. No, I don't. Didn't I listen to you last night? Didn't I do what you said last week? How can you say that? The tension escalates. Now a different approach. You look them in the eyes and calmly say, "You're right," and you cut off the conversation. You're right. Sometimes I really do drift away. This is the fog technique. What happens when you throw a stone into a fog bank? Nothing. No sound of impact, no ricochet. It simply disappears. When you agree with an attacker, you steal their momentum. They're pushing against a door expecting it to be closed. When you open the door, they fall flat on their face. They want to fight. They want resistance. Resistance validates their anger. Agreement neutralizes it. But here's the nuance. You need to agree with the truth in their statement without accepting the shame they're trying to pin on you. There is a difference between acknowledging a mistake and accepting a character assassination. You ruined this report. You're incompetent. Defense. I'm not incompetent. The data was wrong. Power move. You're right, there are errors in the report. I'll fix them. Notice what was left out. You didn't address the incompetent part. You ignored the insult and addressed the fact. You took ownership of the action, but not the identity. This is an enormous confidence signal. Only someone secure in their competence can acknowledge a mistake this easily. Insecure people fight to the death to prove they made no mistake. Secure people say, "Damn, that's my fault," and move on. Cleckley would call this disarming the enemy. If you put your sword down, those still holding theirs look foolish. You take the wind out of their sails. You make them look hysterical and yourself look composed. And in the long run, it's the composed who write history. None of this works if it's just a tactic. If you're using these phrases but your voice is trembling, or your eyes are darting around, or your energy is screaming, "Please love me," it will fail. Dark psychology is 20% words and 80% nonverbal framing. You have to build the inner architecture to sustain the silence. This brings us back to the shadow. Why does it hurt when they attack? Because they're touching a wound that was already there. If I told you, "You have green skin," you wouldn't get angry. You'd think I was crazy. You wouldn't defend yourself. You'd laugh. But if I told you, "You're a failure," and you defended yourself, it's because a part of you suspects they might be right. If I told you, "You'll never grow up," and something settles in your stomach, that settling is telling you something. The ultimate defense is not a verbal technique, it is self-knowledge. Looking into your own darkness, taking ownership of your own flaws, and accepting your own shadow. When you know you're prone to being selfish, and someone calls you selfish, you say, "Sometimes," yes. When you know you're capable of cruelty, and someone calls you cruel, you say, "I can be." You cannot shame a man who has accepted himself. You cannot expose a woman who has nothing left to hide. This is what it means to be untouchable. It means you have integrated the parts that others try to use against you. You become transparent. Light passes through. Arrows pass through. You are no longer a fortress to be defended. You are the wind. And the wind does not apologize for anything. The wind explains nothing. The wind simply blows. And everywhere it passes, it leaves a trace. Not an explanation, not an apology, not a justification, only the mark of its passing. You too will learn to be like this. But this learning doesn't happen overnight. This learning accumulates and grows every day, in every interaction, in every moment of being tested. And as it grows, the people around you change. How they look at you changes, how they treat you changes. Because people subconsciously feel solid ground, and they respect solid ground. Respect is not earned. Respect is felt. And what makes it felt is not what you say it is, who you are. And who you are is revealed most clearly when you are under the most pressure, the most attack, the most testing. In those moments, what do? Do you explain or do you stay silent? Do you defend or do you observe? Do you collapse or do you smile? In those moments, you are either chosen or eliminated. In those moments, your true self is revealed. And when the truth is revealed, if that truth is strong, no one will keep testing you, because they already know the outcome. Here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, you're going to play a game. The game is called No Defense. No matter what happens, no matter how small the accusation, explaining yourself is forbidden. If you were late, say, "I was late," don't give a reason. If you spilled the coffee, say, "I spilled it," don't blame the cup. If someone implies they see you as inadequate at work, just look and wait. If someone blames you in a relationship, say, "You might be right," and go quiet. If someone tags you on social media, don't respond. Sit in that fire of discomfort. Feel the urge to correct. Feel the urge to manage perceptions, to be the good person. And let that urge burn to ash. Watch what happens to the people around you. Watch how they react when you stop playing the game. First you'll see confusion, then respect, then a strange magnetism. Because people are drawn to certainty, and nothing shouts certainty louder than a person who needs no explanation for their right to exist, you're reclaiming your energy. You're plugging the leaks in your soul. You're stepping out of the child role and into the sovereign role. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to provoke you. It loves a reaction. Don't give it one. Keep your mystery. Keep your power. Keep your silence. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is the loudest answer. Silence says, "I don't need your approval. I don't need your perception. I don't need your judgment. I am already whole." And for the person who is whole, no test exists, because a test looks for a crack. When it finds one, it enters. When there is no crack, it passes by. Close your cracks. Close them with self-knowledge. Close them by confronting your own shadow. And one day you'll realize that people are still testing you, but you're not even aware of it anymore, because you are no longer a question waiting to be answered. You are a truth that already has its answer. If this philosophy resonates with the darker, deeper part of your mind, the part that is tired of performing for others, then you know what you need to do. Subscribe, but not for my sake. Subscribe because you have decided to stop being prey among the predators of this world.